Welcome to our latest video Q&A with Derby Telegraph Chief Football Writer Steve Nicholson. Steve, we'll start with news that Derby County have brought in midfielder George Thorne on loan from West Bromwich Albion until the end of the season. Steve, why have the Rams brought George in?
Yeah, it's another midfielder, and a few fans may look at that and say, "Oh, why do we need another midfielder? It's a real strong point of the team." But George Thorne, I understand, is in as cover and competition for John Eustace's role, the holding role in midfield. And we saw against Leicester when John was missing, Derby really kind of were vulnerable in that area of the pitch, and John Eustace plays that role particularly well. So Steve McLaren said today that he felt he needed covering there, and also there's a little added factor in is that John Eustace is on 8 bookings, and 2 more bookings before the beginning of April would lead to a 2-match automatic ban. So Steve McLaren's acted quickly and decided to get George Thorne in now. And from all the reports I'm hearing about George Thorne, he's 21, a player with great potential. He's on his way back from a serious knee injury he suffered in January playing for West Brom at Everton. He's had a loan spell at Watford, 8 games he played there. That'll help his match fitness. And again, it's another indication that the Derby are looking at these talented young players from Premier League clubs. George will join Andre Wisdom, Patrick Bamford, and also they've also had Michael Keane on loan from Manchester United. So McLaren today told me he felt it was another good asset for the squad.
While George Thorne has come in, defender Michael Keane has gone back to Manchester United. Were you surprised that Keane's gone back?
Not really. I think looking at it, he's had 8 games for Derby, 5 starts. He got into the side because skipper Richard Keogh damaged his knee, and really he's not been able to break up the central defensive partnership of Keogh and Jake Buxton, which has been really good, really solid. And Michael Keane wants to play football, understandably so. He's a 20-year-old defender. Manchester United are keen for him to play first team football also, but no one can be guaranteed a first team place at Derby. And at the moment the team's playing well. There's some good players in there, and so the longer he wasn't in the team, he hasn't been starting the last few games, the more I felt that when his loan expired after the Yeovil game this week, the more I felt he would head back to Manchester United, look at what other options on the table for him. I understand there are other clubs interested in taking him on loan. He was on loan at Leicester City last season, so he's proved he can play in the Championship. But at the moment, he's not quite been good enough to split up the Buxton Keogh partnership. And Derby also have Zach Whitbread on the bench as cover for those 2 as well. So in the end, no, it wasn't a great surprise.
Finally, Steve, is there any Derby County injury news ahead of their next game at Birmingham City?
Yeah, a little bit of a surprise really. I've been up to the training ground today, spoke to Steve McLaren, and Jeff Hendrick has trained. If you remember, Jeff damaged his ankle in the draw at Blackburn on Saturday. He limped off after 35 minutes. It didn't look good. Earlier in the week we said it wasn't as bad as first feared, but we're still expecting maybe a week or 2 out. But Jeff trained today. He trained well apparently, and according to Steve McLaren, he'll be in the squad for Saturday's game at Birmingham City. And again, with George Thorne arriving on loan, Jeff being available, Johnny Russell came back on Tuesday wearing his mask to protect his fractured cheekbone. Again, the competition is really becoming quite fierce, not only to get in the team, but to get in the 18. And so there are bags of options for Steve McLaren there to name a very strong 11 and also a very strong bench. And actually what we've been seeing in recent weeks is players coming off the bench and having a huge impact on games. And as I say, you look at the top of the division, you look at Leicester City, you look at QPR, and they've got really strong squads. We look at Derby now, and their squad is quite formidable in this division, and Steve McLaren felt that was needed, and it's certainly the case at the moment.